This next technique is called the front snap down, and we're doing this from the collar tie. What I'm looking to do here is the same principle of lowering myself to make him support my body weight, and I'm backing up now. And as I'm backing up, I'm pulling him down towards the ground to get that effect. The good thing here is that he's got his hands to post out, and we're forcing our client to make a decision here as they're pushing into us is to either fall on their face or to post their hands. And almost everyone posts their hands. Yes, they can fall on their face. However, the standard for law enforcement takedowns is straight armbar takedown, which is already taking someone down to their face onto concrete. We can still have more control though than a straight armbar takedown because it doesn't have to be a violent whipping down to the ground. I can still do this in a much slower direction or a slower movement where as Kevin's kind of turning into me and pushing in, where I can just start lowering myself and I can start wearing down on him, making this happen. And now I've already gotten him that much closer to the ground that as I finish this motion, it's much safer. So I don't have to, and the goal isn't to whip somebody from high up because it's usually not practical. I break them down and then I pull them down to here. Now, keeping my forearm right now in the back of Kevin's head so that if he tried to posture up right now, he can't. I'm gonna look to drop my chest onto his shoulders, so that once again, if Kevin tries to lift up, he can't. And I can also drop my hip onto his head here to drive further down to the ground. And my job here is to walk myself back to that 45-degree angle so that we can move into the body lock and pull him out of base. So it ties into what we've already talked about. We can of course just pull somebody down and back to that situation if we needed to, but if I'm able to from here have this collar tie, and as Kevin's pushing into me, I can move into immediately getting back control, and now from here, breaking him down. From here, I'm lowering, I'm pulling him down with me. I start to, at a certain point here, I can't lower myself anymore, so I start walking my legs back. As I can lean on him here, I start putting that pressure down, and while I keep that connection, I don't recommend being this exaggerated with your movement, but just for you guys to see, I can now lock myself around and get into this body lock position. So at no point as I'm rotating here, Kevin should be trying to posture up and not be able to. If I do something like rotate too far down to his hips, and he can posture up, we have found a mistake that we're making. We can move really either side, but moving the side where my arm is controlling is usually the easiest. So as I pull down here, I keep my forearm on the back of his head, and I can even just rotate from here while keeping that forearm on the back of his head to rotate in and get that body lock. It comes down to how athletic you are, how comfortable you feel with that motion, but as you can see, it becomes quite a quick motion that we're doing here. If you have partners around you, they can certainly just jump in and start taking that control. But if I was here, Kevin starts pushing in. It's going to be one of the easiest ways. If Kevin's trying to back away from me or posture up really tall, trying to do a front snap down from here is going to be very difficult. But it's going to make it easier for us to move into a front body lock. But if Kevin's driving into me, still being an aggressor, trying to move, it creates the ability for me to use that forward momentum to pull him down to the ground and then rotate. And you saw there I used the same thing that we had talked about earlier, two hands. So maybe I want that extra control to be able to really pull him down, to post the hands, get him to post his hands on the floor so I can rotate myself. Really fun one to practice, and we can get a little bit faster with this. And remember, try to break the client down slowly, best you can, obviously. Like, I'm trying to use this language of looking out for the client, because it is an important part of this approach that we're trying to take within law enforcement and public perception and lawsuits and stuff like that. And our goal should never be to purposely hurt people. We're trying to look out for everybody. However, in a violent situation, you pull down, whatever happens, happens. If they go face down, and hit the concrete a bit harder. You can still rotate around, and we're just going to be moving into controlling a client from a prone position in that case.